Dorm mate Chris won't stop stalking me around campus, leaving creepy poems under my door, and denying everything. I just recently started college. I was super nervous but excited about moving into the dorms and leaving home. My parents and brother came to help me move in and see me off. The dorm building looks amazing. It's one of the newer ones near the campus, so it's a modern building and all the decor is fresh. It's really beautiful. Moving in went fine, few tears but it was okay. I was super excited to start a new chapter in my life. The rooms are single rooms, each has an ensuite shower and toilet in it too, so no having to share facilities. The kitchen is shared as is a common room area with a TV and sofas. It's shared between 8 people and we found out it was 5 girls and 3 guys sharing those areas. I met everyone while moving in and everyone seemed friendly and just as nervous as me. There was one of the guys though who was very interested in me and another girl, both Asian, and began trying to impress us with the 5 words of Japanese he knows and all the anime/video game knowledge he has. I'm from the Bay Area and I'm not really all that knowledgeable about my heritage and what's going on in Japan. Even my family in Japan, we don't really have any geeks for me to learn this stuff. I brush that off as it's not really the first time it happened. My family moved when I was in high school and I went to somewhere that didn't have many Asian students, so some guys were interested in me based on my looks. So the other girl, I'll call her Trish for this and we'll call the guy Chris the creep or just Chris for short. I found out Trish has a boyfriend from high school and he comes to visit her and hang out since he goes to school not very far away. Chris also found this out as Trish told me he'd been talking to her in the common room, and when her boyfriend visited he seemed to lose a lot of interest in her. The other 2 guys I didn't talk to much but they seemed nice. They told everyone in the dorm about a party on another floor that they were inviting people in the dorm too. I talked to some of the other girls and Trish and everyone gets along, which is something I was worried about before coming to college and hearing roommate horror stories. But on to my horror story. Chris also came to that party and pretty much followed me around all night. We spoke a little but he mostly just seemed to be walking around anywhere I was and watching me. After I left he walked with me and another girl back to the dorm. She wasn't feeling well and I'd had enough, so I said I'd walk back with her and he invited himself to help too. He pretty much ignored her and started asking me questions about boyfriends and if my parents will only let me date Asian boys. What the fuck? Anyway, since the first week of moving in, any time I'm in the kitchen or common areas he's there. The only time I get a break is when he has classes, but I don't think he goes to all of them and he's talking about changing one of them to one of my classes. I made some other friends and I've been eating with them a lot recently. He's even showing up in those areas we eat. You could argue it's coincidence because it's a popular spot for students to go, but it feels like he's been spying on me. My room has a lock at least, so he can't come in here, not that he hasn't tried. One time I went to the kitchen to get some snacks I had in the fridge that I could heat up and eat while doing some work. He was in the kitchen doing his work and he starts talking to me. I wait for my food to cook and just kinda talk to him a bit. Then he vanishes from the kitchen by the time I turn around and I go back to my room. He's standing in there just looking around and complimenting my room. I got really angry and told him to leave and he just kinda laughs and leaves. One of the guys who also lives in the dorm saw it and asked if I'm okay. I just said it's fine and locked my door. The most recent thing is I started finding poems slid under my door. It's obvious who it is, and after I told Trish, she and some other girls asked him and he denied it. After that happened I've had a new poem each day and they get progressively worse. He's also recently been telling people that he told his parents about me and his dad said we'd make a nice couple, and they said he has pictures of me on his phone I don't know about. This person has no socialization skills and no concept of boundaries. Yesterday I had coffee with a guy from my classes as we were discussing some things we needed to read and where to get the books cheap. I guess Chris saw us as he was asking me who the guy was and I told him it's none of his business. This seemed to make him mad as he left the common room and went to his room. I was told later he came out and was pacing in the hallway near my room. I'm supposed to meet the same guy again soon as he invited me out and he was nice enough to help me, so I said I'd buy him lunch today. I feel uncomfortable that Chris will be watching me again and I don't feel comfortable when he's around me in the dorm. I wonder if he'll eventually get the message and go away or if this will continue, and if he does keep following me around the dorm and asking me awkward questions, posting stuff under my door and so on, what I should do about it. He's technically not violated any rules by being where I am, and it's also his kitchen and common area, so I can't make him leave or tell him when he can be there. I don't think he should get away with this though. Update 1. So as I spoke about in the comments in my last post, I'd sent an email to the RA in my dorm explaining the issue and asking to speak with her. She got back to me quite quickly and asked if I could come see her, and also asked to speak to Trish, the other Asian girl he'd made some comments to and hassled, along with a couple of witnesses, the guy who heard me yell at Chris when he entered my room without permission and one of the people who witnessed photos of me on his phone. She took some of their statements down and chatted with us all, then with me alone for a bit. I spoke about things he's done like follow me and ask me questions about who I'm talking to, and I bought some poems he slid under my door as evidence. We talked about what's been happening, how I'm feeling, and about boys and college in general. She shared some of her own bad experiences with persistent guys and showed concern over things that have happened between me and Chris and felt like it needs to be stopped now before things can possibly escalate further. She especially was concerned at some quite racist things he's said and that he has pictures of me taken without permission. She said that it shouldn't ever be tolerated on campus and that she'll speak to her superior about our issues. I also talked about wanting to tell him how I don't want his attention and that he makes me uncomfortable and asked for mediation, and she said she'll arrange it. She's a nice person to talk to. I'd not spoken with this RA much but seen her around. The RD spoke with her and he decided he would bring us both into his office to try and resolve some issues. I was nervous, but the RA I spoke to before would also be there, and I felt reassured at least that she's on my side. They asked me to speak first, so I told him that I'm not interested in his advances and that his actions have made me feel intimidated and uncomfortable in my own home and around campus. He seemed all a bit naive and immature about the situation and acted like he couldn't understand what he was doing was wrong, but he did acknowledge that entering other people's private rooms without permission was wrong and apologized. When the subject of racism came up, he said he didn't think what he said was racist. The RD explained that he can't say things like that and it's against school policy to discriminate against other races or make them uncomfortable with those kind of comments, and Chris finally apologized for those comments too. When he spoke, he agreed to not pursue me anymore and to stop posting notes. He was asked to remove photos from my phone and did it there in the room. He took several photos of me around the dorm and was told it was warned about respecting privacy and about student safety. He again seemed to miss the point and not really understand what he did wrong. Chris mostly just kept asking if his parents would be informed of any of this if he agreed to leave me alone. He seemed kinda angry, but he couldn't really do anything with the RD in the room watching, and all he could do was constantly ask that. Anyway, we concluded that he accepts I'm not interested in a relationship with him. He asked about being friends and I said I prefer we avoid each other as best we can, and he eventually agreed to that too. He again apologized for making me uncomfortable and for making remarks that he shouldn't have made, along with other stuff he did like pictures and being nosy. We pretty much agreed that we'll stay away from each other, and that meeting ended. I didn't feel great, but at least I said what I wanted to say. They also addressed what I told them about him saying he wants to do a class I'm in. They asked if he's applied to switch to that class yet, and he said he hasn't. They said if he does they'll have a chat with them and make sure we are put in different classes. After the RA spoke to me again alone. She gave me some leaflets she had and told me about a course I can take on campus to help girls with self-confidence and dealing with bad situations at parties and stuff like that, and how to look after myself. Said if I'm worried about anything to call her on her number and we can talk. I felt a little better after that, but still nervous about dealing with Chris, who now felt wronged and probably like I told on him. It turned out that after speaking with the RD alone, he requested to move dorms. I was thinking of putting in a request but was told he'd already done so. I was not told of the reasons he gave, but I'm assuming he decided he didn't want to risk getting into more trouble. I was told that the RD and him made some agreements, and it's on record that he was warned about his behavior and he's agreed to various things to improve and to have regular counseling to improve his behavior. He's agreed to not approach me or do anything that can be seen as harassment or intimidation. Things like watching me, spreading rumors, or trying to contact me directly or through others and stuff like that. He can't enter our floor of the dorm building after moving unless he's accompanied by an RA or campus security. Latter is just in case he leaves and says some of his belongings are in the dorm. He can come in with an RA and collect them, and will have to leave right after. They'll be there to make sure he doesn't use it as an excuse to cause trouble. He's not banned from the dorm building itself or visiting other people, but if he's seen loitering around outside without any reason to be there, they might consider it harassment or intimidation. He also agreed to not ever do anything like follow any students around, post notes, enter private rooms, or make racist comments and so on. If he breaks any of these agreements, he'll probably have some sort of discipline action taken and is being given a chance to behave himself. The RA said they'd prefer to not just punish students but work with them, and hopefully he can have more positive relationships with other students. I'm not 100% happy with him just being warned, but at least he's agreed to leave the dorm, and the new building he's in is about 15 minutes walk, so no real reason why he'd need to come here since it's out the way. Spent one last night in the same dorm and we both stayed in our rooms and avoided speaking. They found a space for him pretty quick and helped him move the next day, and that was it. He didn't come back to collect anything else, and I've not seen him since he carried his stuff out the dorm yesterday. I hope he listens to the warning and sticks to what he said he'd stick to. Update 2. Wow, buckle up, because things did not get dull after Chris moved out. If anything, life accelerated into a whole new level of weirdness, but a lot of good things too, and I learned a ton about campus life, standing up for myself, and just how much drama people can create even when they're not supposed to be involved. Spoiler, when you're in a dorm with 7 other 20-year-olds and a bunch of spilled tea, the grapevine is absolutely thriving. So, after Chris moved dorms, the atmosphere shifted noticeably, like popping a stress balloon. The group started hanging out in the common room together again. Trish and I could use the kitchen without feeling watched, and the overall mood relaxed. The RA kept checking in on me, and even ran a group meeting, without naming names, about boundaries, privacy, and being a good neighbor. Everyone was way more chill. About a week into this new normal, though, we started noticing odd things around our floor. At first it was little stuff. Somebody's leftovers went missing from the fridge, which used to happen all the time before people started labeling things, but this time it was the entire pot of ramen I'd made, with Trish's fancy spicy broth, which is a crime. People joked that it was our food ghost. Then, there were the weird noises. Around midnight, a couple of us kept hearing this series of knocks on doors. You'd open your door and see nothing. At first, Everyone blamed the guys, and I'll be honest, one of them, Max, has major prankster energy. But he swore he wasn't doing it, and after it happened to him, he was as annoyed as anybody. Jump to last Wednesday. I was up late writing a paper, headphones off because I was expecting an Amazon order, lifesaver, surge protector. I heard quiet voices outside my room, and soft footsteps. Then, a gentle knock. I figured it was someone checking if I wanted any midnight ramen, the new ongoing group joke, so I opened the door, nobody there. I leaned into the hallway. Suddenly, I heard feet running away, and the stairwell door closing. We thought it was just one of the dudes from 2 floors up, who comes down to play Smash Brothers, but then we heard from the girls on the 6th floor. They said the same thing was happening, only for them, someone had left a weird origami rose on their doormats. That was the first moment where a weird, slightly alarmed feeling settled in. On Friday, we had the wildest incident. One of the girls, Bryn, was out late, and when she came home, she and her friends had gone to karaoke. Jealous, she spotted someone standing at the end of the hallway, hoodie up, with a backpack and something rolled up in his hands. She thought it was Max playing a prank and yelled, but when she got closer the guy basically bolted, leaving something behind. When we checked the security cameras with the RA the next day, the angle was terrible, but you could see enough. It was definitely not Max. And guess what was left behind? Another poem. Addressed to Trish. I'm sure you can guess where our minds went, and yeah, the RA called me and Trish in to talk about it. She was pretty annoyed. She'd kept a close eye on Chris moving into his new dorm and said she didn't think he'd been back, officially, at least, but had to admit she couldn't monitor every entrance or stairwell 24/7. Security did pull logs and saw swipes, but as it's a frequently used building and people go in and out constantly, nothing was 100% clear. Some of the back stairwells don't need a swipe after someone's already entered, so it could have been anyone. The next days were high-key stressful. At that point, I started actually getting worried, not so much for myself, because I had that fool me once armor, and a baseball bat under my bed. Shout out to the self-defense course I actually did sign up for. 2 lessons in and I can honestly say I almost wish someone would test me, just to see my inner Jackie Chan. But Trish was freaking out. Her boyfriend, who's built like a linebacker, actually stayed a night on a couch, with RA's permission, after everything. All of us started moving around in a group at night, which was almost fun, like a sleepover with a side of true crime paranoia. Someone came up with the idea to set up a sting, but the RA shot that down fast, probably wise, because our idea of a sting was a laundry basket booby trap and a GoPro. Then Sunday happened. Around 11 p.m., the fire alarm went off. Everyone in pajamas, files, laptops, snacks, total evac chaos. When we got outside, the RAs were making rounds, and security was double-checking that everyone was accounted for. Massive inconvenience, but it turned out some genius had microwaved a fork. After an hour, we were allowed back in. Then, Max realized his laptop was missing from his room, and someone else's charger too. A couple of us had lights on in our rooms, doors locked, so all good, but Max, of course, had left his door slightly open. Security did a quick search and, surprise, they found the laptop stashed on a windowsill in the stairwell, and, folded underneath, another poem. This one was extra weird, with cutesy manga drawings and way too many hearts. Security took it much more seriously at this point. They compared handwriting, and guess what? Though it was in a different color and a try-it-new handwriting, it looked a whole lot like Chris's old ones. And Bree, who's into true crime podcasts, found somebody on a second-hand buy/sell app had just posted an ad looking for Polaroids of the new dorms, username Kyoto Otaku. Big yikes. So on Monday, security and the RA coordinated. They ended up getting the building access logs with timestamps, pulled the camera footage from all entrances and halls, and compared them. They also emailed Chris's new RA, and, as we found out later, called in Chris for an official review. Turns out, Chris had actually signed into the building once as a guest, about a week earlier, saying he was coming to see Max. Bold choice. Other than that, nothing concrete. But one huge thing got revealed. It wasn't only Chris. The hoodie and poetry mischief was a double act. Guess who else was involved? Some guy named Evan, from another building, who'd apparently gotten pulled into the adventure after meeting Chris in an anime club. I wish I were making this up. Basically, Chris, in his loneliness spiral, somehow convinced this Evan guy that the girls on 7 were playing some ARG and wanted to find secret notes. After comparing notes with other floors and checking Insta DMs, we found out that Evan had messaged Bryn several times, posing as a steganography enthusiast. Nobody replied, thank goodness. After this, the school's admin finally clamped down hard. Chris got a disciplinary action, banned from our building entirely, officially warned, and enrolled in additional counseling, and, as we saw on the student network, Anime Club got a new club officer. Evan was warned, too, with a note to stay clear of our building, and the school updated regulations for guest access. Expect biometric scanners by next semester at this rate. The best part? The group on our floor has become legit tight-knit after all of this. We have a joke that our dorm is now the most heavily patrolled spot on campus. Max started a poem of the day whiteboard, Good ones only. Bryn and I are learning Krav Maga in the self-defense class, and Trish's boyfriend brings over cookies when he visits, which means the whole hall gets cookies. Best possible outcome. Oh, and I finally went out with the guy from my English class, the one from the coffee story. We went to the local indie movie theater. He asked about the Chris saga, and instead of feeling weird, I laughed it off and realized how much more at ease I felt having everything out in the open and support around me. We're just friends for now, but it's nice to have friends who've got your back. TL.DR, Chris tried circling back with a partner in crime. Security plus a badass RA shut it down. Now our dorm is closer than ever, and I could probably teach a seminar on boundary enforcement. College, man. Never boring. Update 3. Okay, folks, if you thought college had run out of plot twists for me, you severely underestimated both my dorm and fate. So here's the latest. Campus did a full procedural review after the Evan incident. Suddenly, everyone and their grandmother wanted to ask follow-up questions. Admin sent satisfaction surveys about how resolved we felt, and even campus security had more presence on our floor, walking through at odd hours just to check things out. At least, that's what they said, but the weirdness wasn't ready to clock out yet. First, something actually kind of awesome happened. Our floor got nominated by our RA for the Community of the Month award. Yes, this is a real thing, apparently, citing how we handled adversity, supported one another, and did peer-led workshops on personal safety, aka Max's defensive toasting class, where he taught us to fend off attackers with a baguette. But just as we were about to bask in wholesome glory, even stranger stuff started surfacing. About 2 weeks after the Chris/Evan banhammer came down, Trish noticed that someone had made a new Discord server, using our floor's nickname, complete with pixelated icons of everyone's names, and the group photo we took at the Cookie Fest 3 nights before. At first, we thought maybe someone from our own group had made it, since there was an invite link in her DMs, sent from a cryptic new account, called Tokyo Bard. But when Trish messaged the server, the first responses were weirdly generic, like "Hey Trish, hope you're safe." Poetry is everywhere. Then suddenly, more invites started popping up in our other group chats. Within 2 days, almost all of us had gotten messages from Tokyo Bard, each of them including some weird running joke about campus security, poems, or food thieves. Now, this should have been a little funny or at least a vague nuisance, but it very quickly crossed into seriously not okay. Some of the messages included photos from our public social accounts, like screenshots from our Instagram stories or TikToks we'd filmed in the common room the week before. One was a heavily filtered close-up of the hallway whiteboard that had been wiped clean. To be clear, none of us made this server, and none of us invited anyone outside our group. After a couple days of this weird digital contact, Tokyo Bard dropped a poem in the group server, a mashup of bad, haiku and internet memes, and signed it as the ghost in the hallway. That's when we realized someone was still very interested in our dorm. Meanwhile, Max and Bryn, now detective partners, went on a full digital recon mission. Turns out, the Discord server was registered to an email address linked to an anime forum account, which had also posted, in truly tragic fanfiction style, something called Dorm Watchers, a love story. The protagonist was literally named Laris, Subtle, Chris, and it involved lost ramen and secret knocks. We ended up taking screenshots and, with the RA's help, sent them over to student services and security. This time, admin took it with new seriousness. Cyber harassment is a bigger deal on paper, I guess. Here's where things hit superhero movie levels. The university's IT security people were looped in. Hello, campus cyber team. They're real and ridiculous. They tracked the IP for Tokyo Bard right back to the campus library network, before it switched to a mobile hotspot registered to, you guessed it, Chris's new building. But here's what nobody saw coming. When questioned, Chris denied all involvement and, wait for it, blamed Evan. This time, Evan had actual evidence on his phone showing Chris pressured him to do it. Cue a series of very formal disciplinary meetings. Chris, as it turned out, was on his last chance. He lost all building guest rights, his club memberships were temporarily suspended, and he has to complete a full respect and digital boundaries seminar before he's allowed literally anywhere student-facing. The RA, MVP yet again, convened a group meeting with campus IT to teach us all about keeping accounts private, checking for campus Wi-Fi logins, disabling location tagging, and reporting bad actors. Chris was moved to a different campus entirely, as per his warning. Evan, on the other hand, actually apologized to Bryn and Trish, in person and via the whole group chat. He explained Chris had pressured him, and he'd been too lost and lonely to realize where the line was. Evan's apology felt real, and incidentally, he dropped Anime Club and joined the D&D one-shot night instead. Recap, not all awkward guys are creeps, but healthy hobby choices help. Meanwhile, our floor literally got a campus safety grant to buy more secure locks, seriously, upgraded security lighting, and 3 pizza parties from admin. We also started a rotating night check system. Nothing formal, just a text chain, "You home? All good?" Max finally invented the ramen cam, a motion-triggered camera for our fridge. We set it up and got 6 separate videos of people taking oat milk, 2 of Trish's boyfriend sneaking in cookies, and 1 of me, half asleep, devouring leftover gyoza in my own PJs. On the life front, things are pretty great. That English class friend and I are on date 3 status now, bowling, and I won. I have the action photo proof. Trish is sleeping again, Bryn is teaching self-defense to the whole girls' hall, and Max finally said no more whiteboard poems. His rhyming was getting catastrophic. Sometimes, we even joke about starting an advice channel, the Dorm Detectives, specializing in ramen thieves and poetry bands. So, yes, it's been a wild ride, but, strangely, I wouldn't trade it. I learned more about boundaries, safety, digital privacy, and how to stick up for myself in 6 months than in all 4 years of high school. Next year, a few of us are moving into off-campus housing together, one with a literal home security camera, and a rice cooker that texts you when it's done. College, lesson learned, you can't pick your neighbors, but you can make your crew unstoppable. Update 4, just when I started to think my college story might finally mellow out, the universe apparently decided it owed us all a season finale. So buckle up, because what happened next was a blend of high-stakes group chat drama, seriously elevated friendship vibes, and, plot twist, a dose of campus internet science fiction. Let's start with the aftershocks from Tokyo Bardpalooza. Even after Chris's forced move across campus, security sweep, and Discord drama, it turned out his digital footprints hadn't fully vanished.
2 weeks into our newly secured, pizza-fueled lives, Max, a.k.a. Detective Baguette, noticed Wi-Fi lags in the common room and, being the extremely online type, ran a network check.
Here's where it gets wild. He found an unfamiliar device pinging our router named Kiki's Guestbook. The name itself screamed anime mischief, and since we're all a little paranoid at this stage, we went full Scooby-Doo with it. Step 1. Max created a honeytrap file on our shared drive called _do not open, dorm safety spreadsheet, private. 20 minutes later, the file had been opened and closed, and Max's script grabbed the device's MAC address. He cross-referenced with the campus IT guy, our new honorary bestie thanks to the cyber drama. That MAC address? It belonged to one of those study robot assistants used by international grad students to take language lessons, and, weirdly, to play music in the library meeting rooms. Trish and Bryn legit theorized that Chris had figured out how to remote access the robot. Is a crime if you're an anime villain, apparently, to creep on us via the Bluetooth speaker. We were half horrified, half impressed, and also ready to riot. Naturally, our RA was not amused. Security came by for a common room audit, which mostly meant politely asking who'd been blasting Vocaloid songs through the wall. Spoilers, it wasn't us. That same day, a campus-wide email went out alerting us that misuse of network-assistive devices may result in disciplinary action. It was both chilling and hilarious, because, what are the odds your stalker would pivot to a bilingual Roomba? But the good news, that was the last direct visit we ever got. Chris got flagged by the IT department, again, was officially restricted from all campus Wi-Fi networks until further review, and, according to campus admin rumors, was interviewed by not only the RD, but by the Dean of Student Conduct. After that, silence. The animated ghost in the machine phase had ended. Chris faded into campus legend, heard about, not seen. Evan ultimately dropped out of Anime Club for good, re-emerging in our lives as the world's most apologetic dungeon master, which mostly consisted of guiding Max's bard in stealing virtual ramen and writing heroic poetry that no one ever saw, the rest of the semester. Honestly, the best parts were totally ordinary. No more poems under the door, no more mysterious knocks. Instead, here's what being free from creeper watching felt like. 1. Trish finally hosted that hot pot night she planned in September. Her boyfriend became our floor's honorary chef. Even our RA stopped by for a bowl, admitting afterward that she hadn't eaten anything spicy or social since taking the job. Turns out, defending your dorm from would-be anime stalkers turns a group of barely acquainted students into proper friends. 2. Bryn and I finished the campus self-defense course. I became terrifying with a foam bat. She can, actual truth, break a wrist grab in half a second. We offered a workshop to the next incoming freshman class, and it was a hit. The Dorm Detectives brand, originally a joke, somehow became an official presence on the college's safety Instagram. 3. Date update. My English class friend, let's call him Zach, and I are now officially a thing, capital T, after he brought me a Leuchtturm 1917 notebook inscribed with no bad poems allowed. We had our first real argument about whether the best ramen is in SF or Tokyo, and ended up making instant noodles at 2 a.m. to decide. The answer, Trisha's kitchen, always. 4. Max's ramen cam went viral. His TikTok of our oat milk thief, Bryn, in cat pajamas, doing the world's sneakiest commando roll, somehow hit 30k views. Local journalism students wrote an article about security culture in campus housing quoting us as ambassadors of the modern, post-creep dorm era. If I ever get famous, it'll be for describing oat milk theft as existentially traumatic. 5. We finally won Community of the Month. There was a little award ceremony, we got a plaque, $50 for dorm supplies, immediately spent on weirdly expensive Japanese Pocky, and a photo with the dean. I gave Trish a keychain that says Boundaries Boys. She got me one that says Ghost Proof since 2023. 6. Serious but good. After all the mess, the school announced it was rolling out actual self-defense and digital safety classes for all first-year students. Our RA presented during orientation, and she called us the toughest cohort she's ever seen. We started encouraging every freshman to trust their weird feelings, stick together, and screenshot everything. And on a personal level, something changed. I'm not scared of awkward guys anymore, because now I know how to call out creepy behavior, how to rally my friends, and how to spot red flags before they start floating around under my door. I'm also a total convert to locked doors, group chats, and serious ramen sharing ethics. The best twist? Some of us are all moving off campus together next year: Trish, Bryn, Max, me, and Zach. We already have a dorm rules doc: no uninvited guests, no poems unless explicitly requested. Our RA wrote us a reference for exemplary conflict resolution in the wild, and campus security joke they'll miss their favorite recurring sitcom. Sometimes I think about what a mess this year could have been, and sometimes it was. But I honestly wouldn't trade the madness. If college is about getting thrown into chaos and coming out stronger and weirder than you started, then hey, mission accomplished. College summary so far: I came in nervous and alone, and now I could write a handbook on boundary setting, group solidarity, defense with baguettes, and why making friends over shared trauma and stolen ramen is the best plot twist you'll ever get.